Hey guys, Tommy here, about to drop some good gems with the property and construction industry, and I'm here with the director of Keola, that's Sanjesh Lal. Cool, thanks for being here, mate.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Cool, just tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, my business is in construction, so my academic background, is in civil engineering. So I'm a chartered civil engineer.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Did that consulting work for about 10 or 12 years, and then started my own construction business. And it was at the GFC. It was 2007, so 2008 was the GFC. So it was
Yep.
bad timing.
Yep.
But we pushed through, and it'll be 18 years this year.
Oh, nice. Where'd you go to uni for?
I went to Auckland Uni, studied
Auckland
there.
Uni.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, you operate in Auckland, right?
Yes,
Yep.
mainly in Auckland.
Yep. Got a good website as well. I saw that.
Thank
Quite
you.
good. Seen some of you guys' projects that you guys are doing. So you do operate in commercial and residential.
Yep, commercial and residential space. We do also work for Auckland Council and Ministry of Education.
Yep.
We've a couple of years ago we built a hotel, so that was a big feather in our cap. Which we
How
hadn't
long
done
did that
before.
take?
It was through COVID, so
Wow.
it took way longer than it should have.
Yeah.
But it was a boutique hotel, about 45 rooms, I think.
Yeah.
So near the Airport Oaks area.
Oh, yes. Is that the QT one?
Not the QT. No, it's kind of like an unknown brand that the owner has two, one in Rotorua and one here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's called the Pavilion Hotel.
Yeah. Okay.
It's near the Villa Maria Winery, somewhere there.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun one. Out there in the construction industry in, say, Auckland, New Zealand, how have you found like the economy currently?
I think the economy is doing what it's doing. Like, you can sit and wait wait for things to happen, or you just get off and do whatever you need to do. So we of that mindset. I can't control or change the economy, so rather than moan about it, just do what you can actually do, not what you're unable to do. A lot of people are sitting there waiting for things to improve, and then we'll do this, that, and the other. And meantime, others are just getting on with it,
Yeah.
So we're in that camp, really.
Okay. Have you had, much staff think about the move to Australia?
Not really. We're a small team. We're a team of 7. Most of our guys have been with us for a while. Recently, one of our staff has been with us for 9 years, left. She wanted to be a chartered accountant. But otherwise, our staff movement is very low.
Okay.
And we have a young team, so we try and sort of train them right from the start so they can get to know our systems and the way we work, which is pretty much multi-skilled.
Yeah.
It's not just one person does this.
Do you have kids?
Everyone. Yeah, I have three kids. My oldest is actually our ops manager, so
Thought
it's a
so,
family
yeah,
business,
yeah,
so that's
yeah.
pretty good.
Nice. Cool.
Makes it easy for me.
Yeah. Is he going to be a chartered engineer as well?
No, he's got a commerce degree, and he's studied quantity surveying, so he's got 2 degrees, so he's more in the QSing side.
Yeah. Do you need to go to uni to be a good QSer?
I suppose yes and no. Like, it depends on your career path. At the end of the day, QSing is about quantity and rate.
Yeah.
So if you know what quantity you're measuring,
Which is supplied from someone else, right?
that's right, and,
Yeah.
and that's all there is. You obviously, as time goes on, you'll develop a sense and a knowledge of how buildings are put together, where the risk areas are. One thing is, a lot of the QSs which haven't actually been out in the real world,
Yeah.
what they tend to do is use percentages for contingency. We don't tend to do that, because the contingency you'll allow in a concrete slab will be different to what you're going to allow in a retaining wall.
Yeah.
So if you just worked out a project cost and whacked in 5%, 10%, whatever percentage as your contingency, that could get eaten up
Yeah.
in the first 5 minutes of the job, right?
Mm.
But back when, during the peak time a few years ago, people got a bit spoiled, because all their mistakes were basically shadowed by the margins they were making. So if you've made a stuff up in your development, the margins were enough that would buffer that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When things got tight, your contingency and all these become really important.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we've sort of seen happening.
How much out there are people like pricing very aggressively for the tenders or work that you're doing that you find?
We've actually found that a lot because we've now previously the tier one contractors, what we call it, like Fletchers and Canvas Few.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Tier one being like high priority.
yeah, tier one being like the big
Yeah.
contractors. You know,
Yeah.
there's probably say call it 10 of them, and they would be working in projects, I don't know, 10, 15 million plus
Yeah.
generally. We've been finding tenders we get invited to. We are seeing some of these tier one contractors are also bidding for that work. So obviously,
It's hard to compete with them, eh?
it's hard to compete because they have the capital and the balance sheet to actually be able to buy jobs
Yeah.
if they need to keep their staff going. So it become quite competitive.
Is that because there's not enough work happening in New Zealand that the tier one people starting to drop down and taking the work from tier two people?
Yeah, I think the workload is a bit scarce as we've sort of noticed with the economy,
Yeah.
with everything else, you know, and some of those companies had ramped up their staff numbers during the peak time to significant amounts, right?
Yeah.
So now they either shed some staff or find work to keep them going, hoping for the up.
Yeah.
Which
When is that, eh? I got a question here as well. So like what's some of the biggest projects that you've done? So you've mentioned that hotel that you guys built out near the airport. I think you did a massive preschool or kindergarten out.
yeah. So we
Cool design that was.
Oh
Also.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Manurewa. That one's really good. It's based on Earth principles and so on. So it's very interesting project. It's on 10,000 square meters. So
Yeah.
you run through the forest and everything.
I know.
So
I saw it and I was like, oh, my daughter would love that.
and
Yeah.
it's good fun. Yeah. So in terms of projects, like because of my civil background, we tended to attract all the bad sites, like sloping sites,
Yeah,
over a creek, and all this. So we dealt with that for a few years, and then thought, geez, the only people buying these sites are people that can't afford a normal site. So they're very tight on money. So they would buy the
yes.
difficult sites,
Yeah.
and then we got to make it work somehow. So we moved on from there and started doing high-end architectural homes. So we did that for a bit. We did childcare centers and done quite a few of those. And they've been very interesting because everyone was different,
Yeah.
quite bespoke designs. And then we got into social housing. So we've done a few projects for developers and started doing medium density housing. So one of the big projects we did was 45 units. Overall, we've done probably over 400 residential apartments in the last bit.
Yeah. Are these all in the THAB zones?
Yeah, some of them were before the tab zones were around,
yeah.
but they've sort of, some of them have been for the government, for Kaingora, where they used to own the property.
Majority brick cladding?
Mixture.
Mixture,
Yeah. There's been mostly brick,
Yeah.
but there's also been sort of mixed cladding types as well.
Yeah.
So that's been, yeah.
How have you found, how efficient is the council sign-off process for when you're building for the government?
I think what they have is KO have developed their own signing authority. I think they call Consentium or
Some
something.
cheat code. Nice.
Yeah, so because they're doing that amount of volume,
Yeah.
they were kind of, in a way, signing off their own work, obviously, with the checks and balances.
And they also get like the advantage of having like the healthy homes extensions. So normally most residential, landlords, they have a certain date. But if Kaingora, government are like, nah, we can just extend ours. So we don't have to be compliant when every other private landlord can be.
Well, they're their biggest landlord, right? They've got the most amount of property, and so they get some concession, I suppose, in how to do things, unlike us. So So in terms of projects, those were some of the big projects we've done. We've done, we've even done residential subdivisions, like just land subdivision.
Yeah.
Because that used to be my game. Back when I was an engineer, we used to do a lot of resi subdivisions, 50 lots, 100 lots.
Yeah.
But sort of after a while, just become a little bit boring. You build the roads, build the drainage, cut up those lots, and on to the next stage.
Yeah, everything happens underground, right? You're not really seeing a physical change to get excited about, right?
Yeah, that's right. So that's it wasn't glamorous, and then it become repetitive and monotonous. Although I do love the big heavy machinery. So at one stint a few years ago, I was actually thinking of actually went down quite a way down the path of acquiring a small civil works company, but that kind of didn't quite work out, and so on. So luckily, because workloads all dried
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. And what's like the biggest mistakes you have heard about or seen other people in your field do?
I think there's few. And one of the
Even like
ones is,
buying a site that they had the river that they could not build and the site's just dead now, or the retaining wall issue, or
yeah, I think, I mean, just taking back one step, one of the key things is before getting into project is people don't really consider the exit strategy.
yeah,
So they always, everyone's positive. We're going to do this thing. We're going
yep,
to sell it, and we make lots of money. If there's no, if something went wrong, what are we going to do? Are we able to get out of it, or
yep,
what are we going to do? So that's key. And secondly, the due diligence, they don't engage the right people for the right advice. So you need specialist people.
yeah.
You need a geotech, You need to understand what the report
So
says.
they're too stingy.
Too stingy. And even if they do get the right reports, I wouldn't be able to understand an optometrist report unless he explains it to me. Like,
Yeah,
it's not
an
my game.
opta.
Optometrist, a dentist, or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Eyes.
yeah, yeah, true.
Something specialist, right? So you need that specialist report, and then you also, on the other hand, you need a holistic look at it. So someone who's able to see the whole thing from the start. How's your financing going to work? All these things. What are the what's your due diligence period? What are the things you're going to check?
Yeah,
Even your infrastructure, your capacity, these sorts of things. You probably might not investigate all of them and spend a lot of money, but you got to do some investigation. You don't just open up the GIS and say, oh, there's a line there, should be good, she'll be right. So I think that's what people get caught up
yeah,
with
okay.
in terms of development risk.
So always try and get your engineer on site to check out those water connections, not just go off the screen, right?
Yep,
Yep.
you basically, your advisors need to know what they're talking about, and then you need to understand the risk from there.
Yeah.
That's the key part.
Mm.
Someone can tell you, hey, there's risk here, here, here. Yeah, well, every project has risks.
Risks, yeah.
How are you going to mitigate those, and which
Yeah.
are high level risks?
Mm.
And then where possible, putting a dollar figure to
Yeah.
because just the two metrics of buying it, building it, selling it, that's easy. There's like three numbers in there, but what are the ones in
Yeah.
between, That's where
Okay.
people get caught up.
Have you ever gone to like any big luxury type private residential homes, building them?
We have done
Yeah.
a few. Yep.
What industry are those owners in?
One was the beauty industry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a dentist. I mean, what else? What else have you done? Yeah, it's a sort of professional services.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of.
Anyone
thing.
actually linked to property themselves?
No, not really.
Really? Otherwise, they'd be doing it themselves without.
Yeah, a lot of
minimal-
people like property. You got to have an interest in property, and like, I mean, when I go on holiday, like my wife's, having a cocktail, I'm looking at the building, flashing, saying, like, well, there's the pool. I say, oh, yeah.
Good shit. Nice.
So
Yeah.
you got to have an interest in it. So some people think that property is quite risky and say, why would I risk?
Well, so compared to anything else, that's
Yeah.
an investment. That isn't risky. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are going on about crypto and the stock market and things like that, right? There's heaps of paranoias there that goes on to, like, you can't physically touch it. Say you bought all this crypto and your portfolio went up heaps, right? This is my
Yeah.
paranoia. And then you go and cash out and you just can't, right? For some reason, it just comes up access blocked. It comes up with some dumb thing that you need. And you're just like, who do I call?
Yeah.
Who do I go see? This
Yeah.
is an American-based company. I don't know who to call. My money, I cannot get it out now. All I can do is use it to keep buying stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's just the paranoia of your things are controlled
Yeah.
by IT, where it's like when you buy a property, you get a title from the lawyer, right? And the lawyer can literally say, are you selling this or are you keeping this? Someone's trying to buy this off you. Is this correct? You have a direct point of contact with your asset.
It's something
know?
physical, right?
There's something
Yeah,
physical, and like eventually, with more, I guess, backing from America that's going to come in, and maybe New Zealand will start its own thing now. Maybe that's when people in New Zealand, I think, will end up buying a lot more crypto.
Are you into crypto?
No,
I have no idea how that
no.
works.
Well, that's just like until your country is ready for it.
Yeah.
You just have to be paranoid about. But the ones of New Zealand that are really keen, they move to the places like America to grow. Then that's different. And then the shares, right? What happens in like yesterday, where if people were like, oh, Nvidia, which is the biggest growth company in the world, right? They buy shares, and then the day later, if you bought Nvidia shares 3 days ago,
Yeah.
yesterday, whatever you bought, you would have lost money immediately.
Yeah.
Like everything, you would
I
have lost.
read a bit. Is that because of this deep seek or
Yeah,
some other
yeah,
like Chat GPT equivalent or something? Eh?
yeah.
Yeah. I tried it yesterday evening. I just downloaded and tried to do that
Oh, yeah.
thing. So yeah. Oh, that's the thing with shares as well. It's like some of these things are outside your control, whereas a property somewhat is within your control.
It's a bit more of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearly any investment it can be out of your control at one point, right? Depending on what the government does. People did this with property, right? Then all of a sudden, just suddenly comes out of nowhere and removes the interest deductibility, right?
Yeah.
Which hurt so many private landlords, and that was something that people had no control of in that moment, right? The only thing they had after that is to vote her out, you know. And I mean, if you're following much on politics, which I post about that quite a bit, you know who I stand for in America and love what he's doing. Then you look at New Zealand, right? We were just talking about it beforehand. Do you think New Zealand needs more than 3 years per government to make changes that actually affect us?
I'd say so, but then it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
if you get a dud, then you get a dud for
4
4
years,
or
the
5
extra
years.
year,
Or
correct.
whatever. I'm of the opinion like we're just so, what's the word? Soft in the sense we're trying to please everybody, and there's always going to be some people that are unhappy.
Mm.
But if it's for the greater good, you just charge ahead. I mean, you look at all the stuff from the RMA back for the last 10, 15, whatever many years, is that some of the dumbest things, like you plant a pohutukawa tree and it's this big, then you can't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's protected. And you say, well, just have a look around, mate. Like how many freaking pohutukawa trees there are in New Zealand?
Yeah,
Like,
why did you need to plant that one there to stop humongous growth of this street or this, this suburb?
So I think it's good that the RMA, I don't know how much you know about the RMA, but the Resource Management Act, it's being taken out or sort of
They're trying to
condensed
reduce the
quite
red
a
tape
lot.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's been a big hold up on many projects.
Yeah.
That's a good direction. But yeah.
It's crazy, eh? Like with New Zealand, you go to any other most countries, right? Even Asia, Singapore, you got Americans. They've got their massive states, right? New Zealand's got their little skyscrapers office only in Auckland, in like 5 streets, right? This little block. Nowhere else in the country really to that scale. And then you've got you hear the stories. Like, I don't know if you're part of like the Facebook pages, the subdivision pages, and you go into like the property investment pages, and you're just seeing all this red tape bullshit that are just destroying people, from government. And then you've got that new thing that came out from Watercare for the EPA regulations that are happening to developers, right? Where they're completely just declining people that have already bought, gone unconditional, and settled on lots they thought they could build on,
Oh, the capacity.
Yeah, the water capacity, yeah.
But what I don't get about that is that how hard would it be? Like they say, I'm actually made an application now, and they said it's got capacity at the moment.
Yeah.
And
Which area?
It was out west.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And somewhere Massey or Henderson. And so I said, for how long is your advice valid for? He said, well, you better just make an application as soon as possible. I said, what does soon as possible mean? Is it like a week, a month, a year?
Are you talking directly to Watercare?
Yeah, yep.
And they're not giving you any concrete
They're
dates?
just telling me that there is capacity now for the moment, but you have to get your application in as soon as possible. So as you know, for development, I don't know if it's medium density, 10, 12, whatever units, by the time you do your design, everything, it's going to take, it takes 5 months.
Really?
For example.
Yeah, okay.
And I lodge the consent. Then Watercare says, actually, now there's been some other developments and there isn't enough capacity.
Yes.
Then what's going to happen? Are they going to pay the cost that are they going to reimburse me for the cost I've
Absolutely
incurred?
no way.
There's no way they're going to do it. So I say to them, okay, here's a solution. How hard would it be in this day and age of freaking technology and AI?
To see live consents being lodged?
Exactly. Lodged and being monitored, right? So there's capacity is here. These are the other projects that you've given consent for.
Yeah.
That's going to take this amount
This
of
is their
capacity. This
status.
has come
Yeah.
down. So that means yours is now getting into the orange zone and now it's getting into the red.
Yeah.
Rather than
We have no clue.
we have no clue.
Yeah. It's like when you call anything, right? Healthline or the doctors, is that you got to call a 8 in line, right? They had that shit 30 years ago, that tech, just to know what you are in the queue. Yet you call up them or council, they don't know
Yeah.
where you are in the queue.
And fair enough, maybe 20 years ago would have been something difficult, but these days, I mean, a lot of the lodgements are electronic. It wouldn't be that hard to tag it to something that monitors that.
Yeah.
And then people are given good advice. Oh, I said, that's fine. We're happy to spend the money. But then if you tell me in 8 months' time that it no longer has capacity, you just need to reimburse me for my cost. That's it.
Yeah. And this is the huge cycle here. And when we have too much red tape, developers aren't building now, right? Cool. That's what's happened. Or they're making it harder to build, which means that there's less houses being built. So the tradies are getting less work, right? For the consistent new builds that they used to do. So what do the tradies do? They fuck off overseas now, right? And then eventually when the market will pick back up, we have a shortage of tradies to do it, right?
That's right.
And it's just this fucking constant cycle.
Well, this cycle has been around. It's just that New Zealand as a country doesn't learn from that. The successive governments come in, they do what they want, they improve on certain things, let other things, but they sort of don't take a good handle on what drives the economy. Those are like big 4 things.
Yeah.
And let's just focus on those and drive those up. A lot of people, I just saw the stats the other day, 60-something thousand odd moved to Australia.
Yeah.
So that's bad. I mean,
Of course.
real bad. I mean, so many people you talk to and say, oh, so-and-so's moved to Australia. Another guy's just met at the gym and he's saying his house is on the market. And he's going to Australia.
I mean, moving countries is an expensive thing, right? You have to have some good savings behind you probably. You're probably leaving a good job that got you those good savings, to move everything over there, to, buy a house over there or whatever it is. It's expensive, right? So when 60,000 of those people are going, those are, average or above average type citizens with good incomes leaving. It ain't the poor people leaving. They're fucking staying here.
Yeah.
And we're losing good New Zealanders. That was my post was about.
And also those people actually, they don't really want to leave. They're only leaving because where they are.
The government and the country has failed them.
Yeah, exactly.
And you said it well before, where it's like New Zealand just tries to please people too much.
Yeah.
They're thinking about re-elections maybe, where they aren't just doing what is the best option, and just fucking people don't like it. They have to get around to it because whatever is happening isn't working.
Exactly. I mean, we see this all the time in construction. We look at even big infrastructure projects. It was budgeted 400 million. All of a sudden it's 800 million. Then it's 1.5 billion. And you say, who the hell who estimated this job? How could it be? Oh, there's a lot of unknowns. Well, why don't you freaking find out what the unknowns are? Do some investigations, spend some money. Yeah. Let's minimize those unknowns so the costs are known.
Yeah.
But here it's just an open checkbook and everything's...
there's shit where it's people are paying hundreds of thousands for consultants, millions to consultants for a job that just never went ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the consultants just made bank, move on to the next one, do it again, Yeah.
So that kind of psyche, I think, is a bit, unfortunate, really, because we have a lot of smart people, but I don't know why this disjoint is there.
Yeah.
I mean, New Zealand, we all think we are so innovative, so creative. We're not.
Yeah,
we're not. When it comes to the actual real stuff, we're not. We're just we're 20 years behind.
And the other thing is, I guess with a lot of things that's happening online, people are comparing our spending and our debt compared to the most prolific country on earth now, which is America, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, if they give fucking 168 billion to Ukraine and America's still got money, and New Zealand gives their money to this place and 100 million to fucking wherever that other Krakatoa country, wherever they're doing, Winston Peters cancelled that thing, right? And people are, oh, that's not bad. But when you divide that by population, that is a huge amount of money per person.
Yeah.
You divide the Ukraine thing to Americans, and it's like $30,000 worth of debt has been thrown on to every American because of what money they gave to Ukraine, right?
Oh, yeah.
But if you look at the wasteful spending in New Zealand, then you divide that by 5 million people. And if you want to be extra crazy, you divide that by New Zealand citizens, not the immigrants in count, just the New Zealand-born citizens or permanent residents. That's a huge amount. Then people will see that and be like, now it's time to fucking rage about this.
Yeah.
But they don't know that. They don't know how it's going to affect them. And it's like, well, if someone came and goes, you've got 150 grand debt that's just going to affect your life for the next 10 years, you'll see it in your groceries, you'll see it in your gas bills, you'll see it in your rates, everything. That's where it's hidden. You
Yeah.
don't know that. And you'll probably die in 20 years, 30 years, whatever, and your kids will take it on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, same thing for like they did a big investigation about material supply for construction. Was inconclusive. They didn't find any evidence of price fixing or anything. They did for the supermarkets, big reports. They couldn't find any evidence. Then why is it that things are so expensive and the farmer is selling it for this much, supermarket is selling it for this much?
Yeah.
It's like horrendous margin, but there's theory there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's no other competition, no other supermarket chains or anything like that. So people, those are the little things. I mean, you go to Australia, you go to many other countries, the cost of food is reasonable and affordable. Because that's one thing you got to buy every day
Yeah,
is
of course.
food, right?
Yeah.
And your accommodation. So the market dynamics for rental accommodation, okay, that other factors are at play. But in terms of like food and stuff, it's just the pricing's too much.
Yeah.
That's where people's income goes, and they say, "Shit, I'm going to move to Sydney or Brisbane or wherever. I'm going to get paid $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more, and be able to afford stuff." You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. I did that post and I had a few people in the comments saying like, we moved to Australia, best decision me and my partner ever did. And I asked what did he do, and he was like a FIFO electrician where he doubled his monthly income and his expenses were lower, but he was out in Perth, right? Which is like different parts of Australia, because Australia is so huge. You can't just say Australia, say the city of where you're living, right? If you left Auckland, which is our equivalent of the best city, then you go to Australia that isn't your equivalent of even a city.
So what would Perth be equivalent of here?
I don't know, like Rotorua, Hamilton maybe?
Yeah, smaller place maybe.
Yeah. With a lot of the mining and less like corporate city life, you know?
I couldn't be stuffed moving to Australia. I mean, just the weather.
It's further to fly from Sydney to Perth than it is from Auckland to Sydney, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite
So
far, yeah.
that's just how massive Australia is.
Yeah.
And then I saw that thing yesterday where I posted something where it's like Australia is the third highest country to take antidepressants per 1,000 people.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's just like by choice. I don't think anyone, like there might be a small percentage that moves there by choice. I like the hot weather, all this stuff, right? But by and large, a lot of them just having to move there by default because they just can't survive here any longer. You know, which is a real quite sad, really.
Yeah. And what happens is another thing is that if you have 60,000 New Zealanders move over, right? Then there's this thing called compounding where you're mostly influenced to do something from your friends and family, right? The word of mouth is the best marketing aspect. So if New Zealanders have been moving to Australia constantly, as much as I think about it for the last 10 years, then you've got the people that have been there for 2 years and they're saying it's great. New Zealanders are seeing it. They're getting their social proof now. Cool. That's good enough. Now it's time for us to move over. We just had 60,000 in the year of 2024, right? So what's going to happen in a year's time when all those 60, at least half of them say, best decision I've ever made?
Like looking at the graph of what people earn and what they pay for a house now as compared to, say, 30 years ago, what that relationship was. I mean, we bought our first rental unit. I was 20. We bought it for 119,000. It was in Gleneden.
Oh, damn.
One in a block of 2.
Yeah.
Next to a creek. The flood would come up to the deck when it was raining.
Yeah.
2-beddy. And I was 20 and I was probably earning maybe $24,000, something like that.
Yeah.
So has that changed significantly now that what people can afford to buy in
absolutely. We'll just look at that house, right? You'd probably be 4 times the price now, right? If it's under 200, maybe that unit's probably worth 3 times the price.
Well, I sold it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, it's getting me. That was the very first and last rental property I had. I had one more.
Yeah.
But that one there, just the tenants drove me crazy, and I wasn't smart enough to pay the money to get an agent to manage it. I was managing it myself, and they just running rings around me. I didn't know the law. I was young and blah blah blah. So that
property is not probably the best one to use an example because your average salary, if you're 20,000 for round numbers, 3 times that would be 60,000, right? So if you bought the house for 200K and you times that by 3, it'd be 600K, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at normal other houses that the actual boomers would have bought, they're all like 1.5 million now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you want to live in Auckland, you know, you have a good house and stuff, you know, $1 million average price, and your salary does not match that because the house has gone up way more than 3 times what they bought it for. And your salary has only gone up 3 times in 30 years. So, yes.
So, I mean, right now, what you're doing is that people can still make money in property by
Yes.
doing the right thing,
Yep.
and so on. Because that if you do it in a logical way, I guess, you know.
Well, your budget dictates where you buy, but people are just like, nah, I need to flex to my friends and family. I need to stay with the big boys play, which is Auckland. I need to fucking keep my eyes on the property, even though I'm not going to contribute at all to it. And they can't fathom getting out of Auckland and buying where they can actually afford. There are the smart ones that do that and take my advice and actually do that, and they end up making money. But the others they're like, nah, I'm going to buy in Auckland. They don't realize it's like if you're playing with with so much competition as well.
Yeah.
So you also have to be really good, have a lot of capital behind you, have really good connections. Yeah.
Did some of your clients and stuff buy like ready-made a two-beddy or whatever as a rental investment or not?
Like a new
from,
build?
from developers and
No.
They go and do a reno
Yeah.
and then flick it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, 100%. Because the cash flow isn't there when you're buying a new build.
Yeah.
And your capital gains is eaten up from the developer, unless you're getting a really good deal from them.
Yeah.
And a lot of them want to do it because they're the type of people that followed and seen what I do, where they know there is work involved.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As I said, the type of mum and dad investor that will do that, where they'll just buy the new build and just turnkey and who cares, aren't watching shit on social media.
Yeah.
Not many, nah.
Well, there's work involved in anything you do, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing's easy. Like I said just before, like you just watch all the YouTube videos and it's got, I don't know, gazillion likes or whatever, and you think, oh, they're making money out of that. And some of them are. But for someone to do that, I mean, can you post X number of times per day, follow those steps, and you probably do it for 4 days and then say,
Oh,
give
fuck,
up.
that's too much. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then you say, oh, it's hard.
Yeah. Humans.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome, mate. Well, that's pretty good. If people want to find anything about you and your business, where can they go to?
I think the platform which I quite like is LinkedIn. So if you
Yep.
just search my name, Sanjesh Lal, Sanjesh,
Yeah.
Lal, Lal, and maybe just put Sanjesh Lal, Auckland or
Yep.
Civil or something, I'm sure I'll pop up there.
Okay.
Otherwise, website is Keola, Keola.
Nice.
.co.nz if you want to see what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to drop me a DM or whatever. Happy to chat about anything.
Cool.
I've got grey hairs now, so been around long enough to show people grow hairs.
Yeah,
grey
yeah,
hairs.
nice. Yeah. Majority of it's there though, which is a good thing. Cool.
Yeah, no,
Awesome,
it's good.
mate.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for your
good to
time.
chat. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
cool.
Thank you.